What if the single greatest skill to transform your life isn't speaking better, thinking faster, or working harder, but knowing exactly when to say nothing at all? What if silence, often dismissed as weakness or passivity, is actually the highest form of strength? The answer will become clear by the end of this video, and it may change the way you see power, presence, and inner control forever. In a world where noise dominates, silence is rebellion. Everyone wants to talk, post, explain, defend, and react. Opinions are shared before thoughts are complete. Reactions explode before understanding is formed. And in the middle of all this chaos, the one who can remain silent holds the greatest influence, not because they are passive, but because they are in control. The Stoics knew that silence is not the absence of power. It is power under control. It is restraint without weakness. It is the decision to remain calm in a world that thrives on conflict. Silence is a filter. It removes what doesn't need to be said. It holds back what is reactive, impulsive, or ego-driven. It gives you time to listen, time to think, time to breathe. Most people regret what they say, not what they hold back. Words, once spoken, can't be taken back, and yet we throw them around carelessly, as if they cost nothing. But a Stoic knows that every word is a choice. Every reaction is a signal. Every silence is a message. Why does silence hold such power? Because it creates space for reflection, for clarity, for others to reveal themselves. In silence, you can hear more. You can notice more. You can observe the emotional state of others while keeping yours in check. You gain information while revealing none. And in that space, you reclaim control, not over others, but over yourself. The Stoics believed that true mastery was not in conquering others, but in mastering one's own impulses. And silence is one of the sharpest tools in that pursuit. Consider how many conflicts could be avoided if silence came before reaction. How many mistakes could be prevented if we paused before speaking? How many regrets could be erased if we practiced stillness instead of indulging ego? We often feel pressure to fill silence, to explain ourselves, to justify our choices. But the Stoic sees no need for constant validation. They are at peace with not being understood, not being liked, not being praised, because their peace comes from within, not from the noise of approval. There's also a deep psychological advantage in silence. In negotiation, the one who speaks least often holds the most power. In arguments, the one who doesn't react emotionally controls the tone. In leadership, the one who listens more gains more trust. The Stoics lived by this long before modern psychology confirmed it. They didn't see silence as emptiness, they saw it as presence. The presence of mind that allows you to act with intention instead of reacting from emotion. But silence isn't only external. There is also an internal silence that is even more powerful, the silence of the mind. A mind that isn't constantly racing, judging, complaining, or fantasizing. A mind that can sit still, observe its own thoughts, and choose which ones deserve attention. This inner silence is rare. It requires training. But once cultivated, it becomes a fortress. When others are thrown off by stress, emotion, or chaos, the silent mind remains steady, focused, unmoved. The path to that inner silence is through discipline. It means creating time each day to disconnect from stimulation, to sit with your thoughts, to journal, to reflect. It means not reacting to every notification, not answering every provocation, not needing to be in every conversation. It means learning to enjoy your own company, to trust your own judgment, and to value your own peace more than you value being heard. The Stoics practice this daily. They train not just in philosophy, but in presence, not just in thought, but in stillness. Silence also sharpens perception. The less you speak, the more you notice. The more you observe others, the clearer their patterns become. You begin to see which words are rooted in truth and which come from insecurity. You see who talks to be understood and who talks to be validated. You begin to recognize fear, ego, and projection, not as attacks, but as signals. And in doing so, you no longer take things personally. You become immune to petty provocations. You no longer need to defend yourself at every turn because you know who you are. And in knowing who you are, you develop something rare, unshakable calm. The world can swirl around you. People can speak about you. Situations can press against you, but you remain centered. Because your energy is not wasted on noise. It is conserved for purpose, for intention, for building. This is why the Stoics see silence not as passivity, but as preparation. The silence before the action. The stillness before the move. The calm before the strike. Not every silence is peace. Sometimes, silence is strategy. But silence also brings clarity. In the absence of constant reaction, your own thoughts begin to settle. You start to hear the quiet truth beneath the surface. You realize what truly matters and what doesn't. You begin to see how much of your energy was wasted on things that didn't deserve your attention. And from that awareness comes freedom. The freedom to walk away from arguments, to detach from toxic dynamics, to say nothing when everything in you wants to scream. Now, let's return to the question that started this journey. What if the greatest skill to transform your life is knowing when to say nothing at all? The answer is, it is. Silence is not what the weak use when they have no words. Silence is what the strong use when they don't need words. It's the decision to protect your energy, your peace, and your power. It's not about running away from confrontation. It's about choosing your battles with wisdom. It's not about hiding. It's about observing, waiting, choosing. And in a world that's constantly shouting, the one who moves in silence becomes magnetic, respected, unpredictable, powerful. So the next time you feel the urge to react, to explain, to defend, pause. Go silent. Let the world talk. Let others rush. You stay still. You stay clear. Because the strongest voice in the room is not always the loudest. Sometimes, it's the one that never needed to speak at all.